Sir Alex Ferguson, he built one of the most dominant teams in the history of football. But how? How did he really do it? It wasn't just about signing superstars, it was a philosophy, a relentless, attacking formula that just completely overwhelmed opponents for 2 straight decades. So today, we're going to break down the tactical genius that forged that dynasty.
You've probably heard this famous quote, right? And while Ferguson for sure built his teams on a solid defense, it was his unwavering belief in attack that really defined his era. He lived by that idea that defense wins you titles, but he weaponized his attack to a level that English football had, never really seen before. For his teams, the goal wasn't just to win, it was to dominate, to entertain, and to utterly crush the opposition.
To really get the sheer scale of his achievement, you have to rewind to the club he inherited. Before Ferguson delivered that first Premier League title back in '93, Manchester United was a sleeping giant, totally haunted by its past glories. They had gone 26 long, agonizing years without being crowned champions of England. So Ferguson didn't just win a trophy, he shattered a curse and woke up a force that would go on to reshape the entire game.
So, what was the blueprint? On paper, it looks almost laughably simple today, a classic 4-4-2. But the way he used it was revolutionary. At a time when English football could be pretty rigid and physical, Ferguson's 4-4-2 was a totally different beast. It was fluid, it was aggressive, and it was executed with a blistering speed and precision that just left opponents breathless. This wasn't some static formation, it was a launch pad for controlled chaos.
Okay, the first key component was the attacking winger. In Ferguson's system, these guys weren't just wide midfielders. They were genuine attackers. Their job wasn't really to defend, it was to get chalk on their boots, stay wide, beat their fullback, and whip in a constant barrage of dangerous crosses. You think of players like Ryan Giggs, David Beckham, any young Cristiano Ronaldo, they weren't just outlets, they were the primary difference makers. So, positioning the wingers high and having them hug the touchline like that served 2 crucial purposes. First, it stretched the opponent's defense horizontally, right across the entire pitch. This created huge channels and gaps in the middle for the strikers and midfielders to run into. And second, it isolated the other team's fullbacks, forcing them into these constant, exhausting one-on-one duels against some of the fastest players in the league, a battle they almost never won.
Right at the heart of this machine was the engine room. In an era where midfield specialists were becoming more and more common, Ferguson demanded his 2 central midfielders be complete, all-action footballers. They had to be ferocious ball winners, but they also had to have the vision and the skill to instantly turn a defensive play into a pinpoint, line-breaking pass. There was simply no room for passengers in his midfield. The central midfielders were the team's heartbeat. Just think of that iconic pairing of Roy Keane and Paul Scholes. Keane was the relentless aggression, the absolute will to win every single ball. Scholes was a master puppeteer, the quiet genius just dictating the tempo with his incredible passing range. And their focus was never on safe, sideways possession. Their first thought was always aggressive and vertical. Drive the ball forward at speed and launch the next wave of attack.
Up front, Ferguson almost always favored a partnership over a lone striker. He believed in the power of 2 forwards with different, complementary skills, who could develop this near telepathic understanding. This wasn't just about pairing a big man with a little man. It was about intelligent movement, chemistry, and creating puzzles that opposition center backs just couldn't solve. And the perfect example of this was the partnership between Andy Cole and Dwight Yorke. Oh man, their movement was a defender's worst nightmare. One of them would drop deep into midfield, dragging a confused center back with him. And that was the trigger for the other guy to make a darting run into the brand new space created behind the defensive line. This constant, coordinated rotation meant defenders were always second-guessing who to mark, and it led to countless goals.
So when you combine all these elements, the flying wingers, the all-action engine room, and that intelligent strike partnership, you get a tactical philosophy built on 3 unwavering pillars. This was the DNA of Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. Simple in theory, but absolutely devastating in practice.
This whole philosophy was built on 3 core pillars. First, width. Always using the full expanse of the pitch to create space. Second, speed. Going from defense to attack in a matter of seconds before the other team could even think about resetting. And third, directness. Every pass had a purpose, an intent to hurt the opposition. This wasn't sterile possession, this was football with a killer instinct.
And those principles merged to create their most lethal weapon, the counterattack. It was a practiced, almost choreographed routine. Step 1, win the ball back, often with a crunching tackle from Roy Keane. Step 2, no hesitation, an immediate first-time pass out to Giggs or Beckham on the wing.
Step 3. The winger drives forward, now joined by an overlapping fullback like Dennis Irwin, creating a 2-on-1 overload. And Step 4. The final killer ball into the box for the strikers to attack. It was breathtakingly fast and just brutally effective.
Now, there's no better way to see all this in action than by looking at one of the greatest games in English football history, the 1999 FA Cup semi-final replay against their arch-rivals, Arsene Wenger's Arsenal. This match was a perfect showcase of everything that made Ferguson's United so unstoppable.
For their opening goal, we saw the textbook flank overload. David Beckham gets the ball out wide. His fullback, Gary Neville, makes this long-busting overlapping run past him. That little decoy run draws the Arsenal defender's attention for just a split second, and that creates the half-yard of space Beckham needed to whip in one of his signature pinpoint crosses. It was pure, practiced wing play perfection.
Throughout that whole game, the engine room was just utterly dominant. This moment right here is pure Roy Keane. He wins a crunching, trademark tackle in the heart of midfield, but he doesn't stop there. He immediately drives forward with the ball, charging through Arsenal's midfield lines himself and turning a defensive recovery into a dangerous attack in an instant. This was the aggression and directness that just epitomized the team.
And of course, the strike partnership played its part. Now, Ryan Giggs' incredible solo goal is the most famous moment from that night, we all know that, but the constant, intelligent interplay between York and Cole troubled Arsenal's legendary defense all game. Their clever 1-2s and coordinated movement constantly pulled world-class defenders like Tony Adams and Martin Pion out of position, creating chances that really showcased their incredible understanding. But this ruthless tactical approach wasn't just about winning a single game, or even a single trophy. By relentlessly sticking to this aggressive, attacking philosophy and constantly finding the players who could execute it, Sir Alex Ferguson didn't just build a team, he forged a dynasty. He created a culture of winning that lasted for an incredible, unprecedented period of time.
The longevity of this success is just staggering. It started with that first title in '93, breaking that 26-year drought. It peaked with the historic, unmatched treble in 1999. It evolved, allowing the team to conquer Europe again with a whole new generation of players in 2008. And it all culminated in his 13th and final Premier League title in 2013. Generations of players changed, but the core philosophy and that winning formula, they remained constant.
To put his dominance into perspective, just think about this. In the first 21 years of the Premier League era, Sir Alex Ferguson won the title an incredible 13 times. His two greatest rivals during that era, Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho, won a combined total of 5. It's a staggering statistic that highlights a level of sustained dominance we may just never see again.
So it was a simple formula on paper, but devastating in practice, built on width, speed, and a relentless desire to attack. Ferguson's genius wasn't in creating some overly complex tactical system, but in demanding its ferocious and precise execution year after year. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. Which leaves us with one final fascinating question. In an era of complex high-pressing systems and tactical fluidity, could this classic attacking 4-4-2 still dominate today's game?